the whole. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Tauschak.
Here.
Herman.
Here.
Mattsdorf. Here. Gilson.
Here.
Hildebrand.
Here.
Penkwitz.
Here.
Binder.
Here.
Nelson.
Let the record show we have a quorum for a committee of the whole. Next is the approval of the minutes from October 8th, 2024. Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll move approval. I'll second the motion.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 3, discussion and possible recommendation on outdoor heater ordinance. And I'll ask our city administrator, Tim Blakesley, to start the discussion. Tim?
Sure. So in Plymouth, detached heating systems, for example, an outdoor wood-burning stove, are regulated only for structures that currently allow human habitation in the municipal code. So to install a detached heating system in Plymouth, for a home, it must meet specific distance requirements in section 13-1-175. I did outline those in the memo. Again, they can't be in the front yard or the street yard. The intended location shall be behind the rear building line of the principal structure served. Setbacks are not less than 100 feet from the lot line. They have to be per the manufacturer on how they're from far away from a building. And then there's some distance requirements for height of the smokestack for those based on how far away they are from other structures. However, the one sort of caveat to that is detached heating systems are not currently regulated when attached to structures that are unsuitable for human habitations, for example, like a pool. In July 2024, a resident did raise concerns about a heating system in their neighborhood being used to burn wood constantly, causing constant smoke in the area. He reached out to various alders, and Alder Nelson, who is currently stuck at the county board meeting for a little bit, did request this item be placed on an agenda for discussion. So attachment 1 does outline a draft amendment. It's just a minor tweak to the word in the code of section 13-1-175 that would require all detached heating systems, regardless of whether they're for human habitation, to meet section 13-1-175. Given the intent, we believe, of this section was to sort of limit those outdoor heating systems in close proximity to other homes when it was created. We don't know how many years ago. Staff is comfortable referring this to Plan Commission. This is a zoning code amendment, so this is not the only time that'll be discussed. It would go to Plan Commission, and then it would be back to council for approval. So letters were sent to nearby property owners informing them of tonight's discussion. Again, a zoning code amendment, so this would be a recommendation to the Plan Commission for consideration.
Thank you. I think everybody on council was maybe here when we discussed this the last time. I don't think we have any new people. And as Administrator Blakesley said, this will go to Plan Commission for their input as a ordinance change and then come back to us. Do we have any comments from the council at this point as we send it back to Plan Commission that you want to give them some direction? John?
Yeah, a friend of mine lives in that Bonnie Court area, and if you take a look at a satellite view of that neighborhood, it's almost like a canyon that runs through two neighborhoods that have backyards that are adjacent to each other. And it's kind of a narrow area when you think about it. And while I was there, I noticed that the unit that was operating to heat the pool really was putting out a kind of a cloud of fog, and it kind of just stayed on the ground. I didn't get a chance to smell it because that was one of the complaints of the people I was visiting. They said that when the westerlies are blowing, they get that whole area, it's like a canyon that runs through there, that kind of fog. So I think it's important that something is done. And one of the things I like about the code that Tim didn't mention is that the present code, when you talk about basically fire heating furnace units, outdoor, unattached, they have to be manufactured items. And now I think this change in the code will also bring in other kind of heating units. They have to be manufactured items. I think it eliminates the possibility of homemade items, which can be a problem as far as causing emissions that are detrimental to the folks that live in that neighborhood.
If this was a homemade item, it was okay.
I have a question, Tim. Maybe you have the answer quickly. The original ordinance had setbacks in it, so there's no change here in the setbacks?
Correct, those setbacks would remain the same.
So do we know, do we require a permit for an outdoor heater? And when it was installed, is it within the proper setbacks?
So the current outdoor heater is not applicable because it is not heating an item for human habitation, so the setbacks don't apply to it. I would have to confirm to see if a permit is required. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
I think that's something that would help us regulate if we require a permit in the process so we can keep track of these things. And I don't know that answer either, so we can have that answer by the time it goes to Plan Commission.
Correct, yep.
Any other comments?
Excuse me. Yes, my name is Joe Lunny.
Excuse me, no, you're out of order, sir. I'm sorry, you're out of order. This is a committee of the whole, not a public hearing. I'm sorry.
I would have a comment. I think maybe an inspection or a permit would be a good requirement so we can make sure that the setbacks are correct and have somebody check on that. I don't think, when this ordinance came into effect, I don't remember any permits or anything. I know
I don't either.
we don't really go real wild on permits in the city, but I mean, I think for something like this where we have guidelines and we want to make sure that they're followed, they probably fall under a building inspector or somebody to look at that.
Yeah,
But I think a permit.
there's some oversight. John?
Yeah, I'm reading the ordinance here that we have right now on the books. It says permit required. Part A, no person shall allow, maintain, or use any detached heating system in the city of Plymouth without first obtaining a conditional use permit for the installation, operation of said appliance. The permit will be issued to install only new listed appliances. All detached heating systems are to meet the emission standards currently required by the Environmental Protection Agency. And then it goes on to talk about they have to be manufactured heaters. Now, I can think the language that's being proposed here for a change later on in that ordinance will include the kind of heating units that is a problem right now.
Any other comments?
No other
Question.
comments. I appreciate you doing a quick peek on that, John. Much appreciated.
Okay, so we're not asking for a vote here because it's going to come back. Any specific direction that you want to give Administrator Blakely to pass on to the Plan Commission? Other than what we've already commented on?
Tim,
Mike?
to me, the setbacks aren't real clear. I mean, can you explain those?
Yeah, so the first item in the location is no detached heating system shall be in a front or street yard. So basically anything that is a front, or if you're a corner lot, the other side of the street. And they're intended to be behind the rear building line of the principal structure, so that'd be the back wall of your house behind that. The side and rear setback shall be not less than 100 feet from the lot line. So on the side and the rear, your outdoor detached heating system needs to be 100 feet in from the lot line. And then a distance to the building served by the appliance, that's per the manufacturer's guidelines. And then talking about adjoining properties, if your appliance is 100 to 200 feet away from an adjoining property structure, that stack height must exceed the peak line of that residence plus 2 feet. So it's got to be taller than your neighbor's chimney by 2 feet. And then if it's 200 feet away, it needs to have a 20-foot minimum stack height.
I guess what I was thinking, Can lot lines be closer than 200 feet?
Yes, in a lot of circumstances they are. In those circumstances, these would basically be prohibited.
Yeah, if you don't have the space to comply with the ordinance, the answer is no.
Okay. Okay.
Great.
Has he broke any ordinance at this point?
At this point, no.
So now we're gonna make an ordinance subject to him. You know, as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't broken any law or ordinance. Is he grandfathered in?
I think the intent of council per this discussion is to prohibit these permanently, I think.
But he's had it without being out of ordinance.
Didn't you just read that it had to be manufactured? No.
In the
Yeah.
existing one.
Okay,
I think maybe if Crystal is here, she might answer that. I think the loophole in the ordinance refers to a heating system, which, from the reading of it, you interpret that to be a structure, not a pool. It doesn't say pool, it says structure.
Yeah, so the ordinance currently says for human habitation, so that's why
Right.
they're regulated
So,
homes.
so I think because it doesn't clearly fit within the intent of habitat, that it kind of skirts the law, and I think we're trying to amend it properly to avoid these kind of problems. It's no different than administratively fixing things that maybe have been wrong for years, and until someone questioned it, no one thought of it. And that's the case here, in my opinion. I guess that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I'll certainly discuss with Attorney Feber as we're
Yeah.
working on the ordinance finalization.
Any other comments that, on this subject that you want to pass along to Tim? Because it will go to Plan Commission and then come back to us. None? Okay, good. Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You've been on the council for a good number of years, haven't you? Have that,